see if we're live. I have a big red button on the top of my screen that says that we are live in the Facebook group. And it says that we are live now. So there we go. Hey, Sarah and Shari. We're not giving out our surnames today. We're being kind of like Prince-like. What would your symbol be?
A lightning bolt. What would your symbol?
Yeah, I was like, you picked that too quickly. Don't know what mine would be. Can I get back to you? Can't take the pressure. Anyway, for anyone that hasn't met you yet, please introduce yourself.
I am Sarah's best friend, which is my favorite title. I am also a performance. What am I too, Sarah? Performance mentor and creative strategist. And It's only 9 o'clock in the morning here, and I've been up since 4, so I'm a little bit tired. So I help people unleash their inner maverick, both in life and business, get out of their own way, and create the lives and businesses that they want, but are too afraid to get on their own.
Beautiful. I love the fact that you like reel that off so easily now.
I just made that up this second, by the way. Don't ask me. I won't know what I said.
So, just side note, I can smell something burning. I think I figured out what it is. I'll tell you what it is. I lit the room diffuser thing with the candle, like the old-fashioned one, and it just ran out of water. Plus, I just heard a plink. What do you think that means? Do you think that means a comment? Oh, here we go. Up from 4, a little tired, and looks amazing. A plink. Yeah, look. This came up from a Facebook user. It still doesn't tell us who it was.
I don't know. Whoever Facebook user, I love you. It's makeup and the magic of lighting. I don't look up close. It's not as pretty, probably, but thank you.
Now I have to figure out. Right, so this is new software, guys, that I'm trying out. And so far I'm loving it, but I'm a bit like, what do I do now? Take it off. There you go. I got the comment off. So hopefully my internet will behave. Apologies in advance if I cut out for a bit. Oh, it's Abigail. Can you see that?
Hi, Abs. No.
Oh, you can't see it. Okay, fine. I'll just keep.
Oh, it's Abigail. I love you. Lady, I'm like, I see that it says yes. We love both. We love both of you. You're only one person.
So, I very much love the way that you write and your rants. And I think we're very aligned in the things that get on our nerves and make us ranty. Very often I'll do like reality check, like, is this unreasonable of me to be pissed off about this? And obviously you will always back me up. So it was probably either a month or 2 months ago that you wrote this fabulous post about not just the dangers of positivity, but it was really about something that drives me insane when people try to claim, like, I was once like you. I have been where you are, sleeping in my car, and I was down to my last 10p. And then I just put out this offer for $27 or pounds, whichever country we're in. And what do you know, like, now I live in a palace with servants, kind of thing. And I have a blueprint for how I did it. And all you have to do is sign up with me. And by next week,
just say I'm in at the bottom of my post, and I will slide into your DMs.
Yeah. So yeah. So where should we begin with this?
I'm going to give a disclaimer. Sarah is much classier than I am. I curse like a sailor and I get very ragey. So I actually am nervous that I'm going to make Sarah look bad today. All of my opinions are my own. She shares them, but quietly. She wouldn't say it publicly. I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth because the topic really gets me riled up. Most things do these days. I am not your fluffy life coach. So if you're expecting nice, really good feely things, you're probably not going to get that today. So this is my opinion solely. This is not Sarah's. This is not Sarah's point of view publicly.
We'll see.
Where would you like to start today?
Well, something triggered the post, and I know you're being really kind. You're trying not to say, you don't want to say who it is, which is fine. I'll get it out of you. I think you can't even remember who it was.
I couldn't remember who it was.
Like, come on, tell me you're like, I don't know.
I would have
But
told
yeah, tell us a bit because not everyone's read. I've posted snippets of the post. Not everyone's read what you wrote. So tell us a bit
you.
about the
So,
story.
sure, that's smart. So this was an exaggerated version of what we see very often in the online space. So I think the reason that it got me so incensed, that I'm stuck in a it was an exaggerated version in a snapshot of what goes on that drives me crazy. And because it was so exaggerated, I blew a fuse and couldn't help myself but from posting this. So, long story short, I was targeted by someone's ad multiple times on Facebook. She has a massive business. She's American. I work mainly with, even though I'm American, so I'm not accustomed as much to the American way of selling. There were a tremendous amount of ads. You know, you part look at something and then all of a sudden everywhere you turn, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And she had a 5-day challenge, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, a very common way to launch a program, get people brand exposure, to be able to get to know you. Nothing with strategy, telling what you do it and what your intention is. So the elements of what I'm going to talk about are, there's nothing wrong with any of them. And that's, I think, one of the distinctions that's really hard about this positivity thing. It's so the thing was about green business, something, honestly, I'd seen her name a few times and I was curious how she ran her challenge. So I signed up for it and then finally stopped getting targeted with ads and instead got 700 emails pre the challenge. We started in 6.5 days. Did you get your notebook ready? Have you printed your work? And I'm like, mate, chill out. If I want to be there, I'll be there. Didn't buy a special pen and a special notebook for this. I'm gonna come and I don't have my pom poms. We're fine. Just let me into the group. Cool. She gets on day one, and as I
Helen
had
Johnson.
written in the,
Yes.
hi Helen Johnson. Um, as I had written in the post, which I don't remember because my brain is an interesting place to live. She was very plain Jane, which I think lets a lot of people. There were 13,000 people in this free group.
Sorry, how many?
13,000. So let me explain to people who don't know this. That means she spent a tremendous amount on ads. That does not mean that she was so magnetic and so exciting that her challenge was going to work like no one else's when we eke out 50 or 63 and we're so excited. She's dumped a ton of money into that. She probably also had a lot of affiliates of people with big audiences. So there was a very large number of people in there. All of these things that I'm going to kind of walk you through are all the bits no one talks about. So it was a perfect storm here that drove me insane. She gets on live on the first one. Her kids were running around in the background. She had no makeup on. Her hair was up in a ponytail. There wasn't a perfectly, positioned studio. All the things that would draw people like us in and being like, oh my God, I really am like her. She doesn't give a shit. This wasn't professionally filmed. So I was drawn in being like, oh, she's got a massive audience and she's just showing up, umming a lot, not making a lot of sense, but she's very vanilla, very girl next door, which I know makes other people feel really safe in a world where there's a lot of polished stuff. So far, she's ticking a lot of boxes of all the people who are new in this industry, and her target market is people just starting out or have an idea or a side hustle to then scale it into a business, which means mass market. There's a lot of people. And a lot of these people have never been exposed to anything like this. So it was really about connection building and showing them possibility in the dream. I'm explaining like the marketing behind it. You didn't need skills for it. You didn't need a specific sort of idea or, an avatar, the people with purple shoes and chew green.
We always talk about purple shoes that chew gum. Chew, I don't know, strawberry bubble gum.
Yeah, exactly. So this was very global in the, oh my God, as I listen to her while my kid's pulling on my leg and while my hair looks like shit, I can do this too. She does not really reveal that she lives in a massive house somewhere in California where her husband, who has a very high powered position in one of the big media companies in LA, we skip all that part. She went from having an idea, she launched a program, she had a webinar with no audience, and I don't remember what the number was. I think I wrote it in the post. The first one, she made $120,000, something like that. Forgive me for not knowing details. and it just blew up from there. It's never gone down. Her next launch was $400,000 and on and on and on.
Mm.
And I think what freaked me out the most, because I see people lie all the time online, it's almost regular for me. I don't even notice it, was the reaction of the people in the chat box. I got so ill. I've been doing what I've been doing for 8 years. I've cleaned up a lot of messes for people, from people who sell very high ticket items, who have very big audiences, who promise a lot of things and don't deliver them, who gaslight people and make them think that they're the ones who are broken. And if you just followed my system, everything would be fine. And it's you, it's not me. And I don't know, it worked for me. You probably haven't followed the steps. So no, you can't get a refund. And on and on and on. I don't want to scare anyone who's not been around this industry. There's a lot of good stuff too. You just have to look and find it, like with everything. What frightened me was the adoration, and it was like being at a Justin Bieber concert and everyone was throwing their bra on stage. Like, she just talking about what probably didn't happen to her without all the details. And it frightened me so much.
Yeah.
It frightened me so much of the drink the Kool-Aid. Like there's some snake oil guy in the middle of a village standing on his shepherd's hut singing about the laurels of the cream that he found in the magic of the hills of Himalaya, kind of thing, is really what it felt like, which also shows it's the way society works. It's a cultural thing. We've done this for thousands of years to each other. So it's just a little more polished because it's online and anyone can do it, which is really scary.
Right, and this comment here by Sephora says, I think you can't see the comments she said, but it says the gaslighting of women who are blamed and the cultishness. We're really beginning to understand, what goes into a cult. And there are certain leaders and coaches that really cross that line into cultishness.
And there have been a few documentaries recently about some big cults that have happened, and many of the online people with integrity have spoken out about it, because almost everything is exactly this, is the same patterns are done. And I have to believe, even though I'm probably being idealistic, that many of the people don't realize that they're doing it. They're doing it because it works, and they're doing it because, I think, at least at the start, before the power trip and ego come in, that I have to believe that they truly do want to help people. They do want to make money. There's nothing wrong with helping people.
I think, and I think it, like this comment, I think this is Sephora as well. It's really annoying that it won't tell me who people are, and I have to keep looking at my phone. But it's true that a lot of people don't realize they are starting from a place of privilege. This person had financial backing, that she was able to throw money into Facebook ads in order to get these thousands of people to show up. If you don't have that, and she's skipping that when she's talking about her blueprint, she's failing to mention the fact that she has a very successful husband who's probably given, who knows, let's say the husband gave her the money.
There's a skater who tells you could just skate for 4 hours a day and you too can have this. No, I can't. I don't have the coach. I'm not in the room. My ass doesn't look like that. I get cold. I die. I need snacks. It's not. And the scary part is that, privilege is a whole nother conversation, but it's an excellent word. When someone is privileged, they don't realize that they're already in a box I can't get into. So they don't know, well, my husband backed me. Okay, what would I have done without it? I don't know, because I don't have to know. I'm not asking everyone to step out of the box to look through, but just be mindful. Look, they're two white women who grew up in, middle-class families in a Jewish environment, both of us sitting here. Who the hell are we to talk about it? We're saying we don't know, so I'm not going to go pretend that I do. Color, race, religion, culture, financial, whatever. I know that people don't have what I have. So what I find easy, other people don't. To me, it's as simple as that. The other is
this idea of the part of marketing. I talk to Sephora about this a lot. The part of marketing that we can't stand is where you prey on people, and you don't necessarily think of it as preying. But you manipulate them to think that this is going to be the one thing that's going to save them. This is going to be the one thing that is going to just skyrocket. It's this thing. If you just buy into this thing, you're good.
So I agree. And the hardest part about this is, as someone who is extremely visionary, extremely creative, and overly excitable, I believe that my stuff will transform people. So I want everyone to understand it's not like we have evil Lucifers snuck in the crowd and they're looking to prey on anyone. My whole business about being a maverick. The maverick is right behind me. I truly believe that if people could find their maverick way and stop following what everyone else does and stop ticking things off boxes and tune into what they really want and find their wonder and curiosity and creativity, it will save them. That doesn't mean my program for 1999999 whatever
197
is going to. So the hard part is creatives and visionaries get in the silo of our own minds. We create a solution to a problem we see. And then, of course, we want to go broadcast it because we do know it will help us elect people change. So another thing, I hate a lot of things about the industry. What irks me the most is I'm scared to even say it because I get ragey. I'm going to close my eyes for this one. If you had the cure to cancer, you wouldn't walk around and not tell people. I don't have the fucking cure to cancer. So I have a program that I'm really proud of that has helped a lot of people who I get beautiful testimonials from. That's not curing cancer. That's not if your child was sick, you'd find the money for it. My child is not sick. Don't compare investing in your ridiculous program that's going to change something about my life, but not everything. That's not the same thing as finding money for a sick child.
You've actually seen that happen? I'm having a hard time. You've seen this compared?
Both, multiple times. If you had the cure for cancer, you wouldn't stay quiet. So how dare you be the messenger for change and not go out and shout it from the rooftops?
Wow.
I checked my mail. I haven't gotten anything about the Nobel Peace Prize yet, so I'm just going to keep.
I think this is a Helen Johnson comment. Yes, it says the worst part is there are a whole load of other people that can help and don't shout about it and hold back. Yes.
Because we don't want to sound like these people. This is the hardest part. It's usually the people that with integrity who are quiet, and usually the people who don't give one flying flip, who are the loudest, make the most money, and then we sit wondering, do I have to give up my integrity to build what I want and find my
people? It's also why we get the impression that the political world is full of left-wing lunatics and right-wing lunatics, because the people that are in the centre aren't as extreme as the others, and they aren't so confident in their beliefs. So they keep quiet.
Amazing infographic where the extreme left and the extreme right are actually right next to each other, and everyone else goes around. So it's just extremity. Like love and hate are the same emotion energetically. They just feel different. Like the opposite of both is indifference because it's nowhere near them. We don't understand this, and because we're creative and we're excited and we want to create change and we want things to be better, we end up using the same tactics that we didn't like because our audiences have learned to listen this way, which is another problem. We've trained ourselves to wait till someone puts on a horse and pony show, not read carefully, not have connected conversations. If there's no pyrotechnics, the program must not be good. Why is it so cheap? Why aren't they raping me? Unless they take all my money, it's probably not good. There's a crowd of coaches, and I'm not saying they're not good or good at what they do, where you've got to invest 60 grand for the year to be part of their community because otherwise you don't believe in yourself enough if you don't invest. I don't have 60 grand, and I've been in business for 8 years. I love what I do.
You don't have 60 grand? I call bullshit. Go find 60 grand. Sign up for my payment program. Yeah. If it mattered to you, you'd find it.
But you know what? You can't make the money unless you sign up for my program. So what's the alternative? You'll stay stuck.
And look how quickly you'll make it back. Invest is 60. You'll make it back within the first month.
Exactly. Yeah. So I didn't answer the initial question, but we knew that was going to happen.
I interrupted you many times.
I don't remember what the question was. What's the next question I'm not going to answer?
We're kind of describing the whole process of this person who seemed to like bring in this really big audience, but then actually when it boiled down to it, she didn't even really have much of a magnetic personality, which I've also seen a lot. There's someone who I've followed on Instagram and I met her in person. I can't remember if I told you about this, and I was so immensely underwhelmed by her. And I just thought she has She has financial backing from a very, very big company. She has networked in person for many, many years. She's traveled the world. She's become known, kind of like as a travel blogger. And then this program and these courses have kind of piggybacked onto that. She was already at this level when she started. And the steps that and I see this a lot, there's nothing wrong with it. I do this. The information I will give out for free and the information that you will get from me one-on-one, there is a crossover. But
this is the hardest part, and that's what we said early on. A lot of this does work, and a lot of it is real.
Yes.
Just couched in other things that are, it makes it really hard to help someone say, okay, Sarah and Shari, how do I not do this? I do this with people every day. I can't tell you how to not do it. You have to stay integritous and catch yourself every time you realize that's not true. Or the way I did that was a bit over the top. It's a constant course correction because I can easily fall into it as well. It's nice that people want to wear my Maverick hats. It's exciting to workshop in London before the world fell apart. People are lining up. Sarah took pictures, lining up to give me a hug, and everyone has presents for me. I don't have an ego. I think it's weird. I think it's, you're here for you. You're not here for me, but it's a slippery slope. So my issue with lack of self-confidence works out well for my business because I wouldn't notice what's going on around me. I'm cleaning up everyone's coffee cups. Not realizing that's not great either, obviously. Sarah's taking a cup out of my hand and being like, why are you cleaning up?
What are you doing? You're Mickey Mouse. People have come to have photos with Mickey Mouse. Stand
get back
and
on
have pictures.
stage and stop cleaning. Right. It doesn't dawn on me. Obviously, somewhere in between the two worlds. So the hardest part is how do we stop ourselves from doing that? It's understanding how you help an audience isn't by tricking them. It's that simple. So I continued watching. I made it to day 3 of day 5, and then I got so ragey I had to leave. It got worse as the days went on. It was, it doesn't matter an idea, just think of something. That's not true. And I mean that not because every idea can't work. We need market research. We need to check into the industry. We need to see what else is working. Also, I have to say this. We're in 2022, insanely, since I still think it's 2019, but okay. A lot of what worked a few years ago for people who have very big audiences no longer does. They're not factoring it in. When they built it, maybe this did work. I like to try to give benefit of the doubt. It did. It doesn't anymore. Algorithms are different. The markets are very saturated. I sound so negative that your business isn't going to work. It is. But if you're not realistic, then you're going to miss a lot of the things, the clues that would have helped you catch yourself from a pattern that'll take you in a direction that will take you away from your success rather than making it customized and bespoke to what your greatest strengths are, where your genius is, what I call finding your edge and riding that edge, because that's what people will see, not dipping in and out of what works for everyone else. And then no one sees you because you went invisible.
Right. So, I mean, you said that you stayed on till like day 3, but it just got worse and made you more ragey. So one of the things she was saying was like, just have an idea, which is slightly ridiculous.
Have an idea. Don't check in, just go follow your passion. I don't.
Oh my God, follow your passion. It's ruined the word. I still use the word passion, but it ruins it.
I have a book. Hold on, I'm running upstairs. Hold, please.
Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, she's hilarious. Right, well, while she's away, I'm just checking. I can't see the comments here. It just says Facebook user. The words. Okay, no, we're up to date with comments. If you're still here and you want to comment, just like write your name in the comments so I know who you are, because here it won't show me, and it's really, really annoying. Okay, hold on.
Okay, I don't run for anything, so the first I just ran. I went to
that was Sephora.
Book launch a couple of weeks ago in the city. I live right outside New York City. And
ooh, who's the title? Okay, how to create a life that matters to you.
Everyone get this.
Unfollow your passion.
How to create a life that matters. It's a local entrepreneur, brilliant. I just met her.
Your new best friend. Unfollow your passion.
I'm so professional.
Love that.
She is my new best friend. I have a best friend. But I actually have an in-person human being that I can talk to. I buy books like people drink water. It's one of the best. I'm only halfway through, to be honest. And it's already one of the best books I've ever read. She's a professional comedian as well as I'll tell you what she is, award-winning writer. I can't breathe.
You out of breath.
Speaker and brand advisor. She has a TED Talk say "Stop searching for your passion." It's been viewed more than
Oh, I need to look for that as well.
He is
Writing it
so
down.
brilliant and calls everything out in the exact, just real way we're talking. She's, I won't give you the premise of the book. I don't want to ruin it. So watch the TED Talk, read the book. I only
Okay.
got halfway through, and so I don't know what happened. I know it'll be excellent. Talking about this horrible idea that we do to ourselves, like, if it's not my passion, it's wrong. No, sometimes we need the working skills when we're not about passion, about being able to stay in the room and get the shit done, or learning skills of jobs that we don't like, or teaching ourselves to get out of our bed to just do the thing, and then we can plug the passion in, or our passions are allowed to change. I'm passionate about air sometimes. That doesn't mean I need to go teach you about air. I'm very excitable. Sarah has a million creative ideas. That doesn't mean she has to go chase them all and put a price tag on them.
Apparently
I call
not.
them passion. Ironically, I call them our passion crumbs because they're our internal passions. If you tell me, how did I get here? I have no idea how I got here. I've been shut up since the day I was born. I'm intuitive and feel, things. I went through a really shitty divorce and it changed my life a lot. I found a best friend who believed in me. All of these pieces got me to where I am. I didn't at 3 years old be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run an international business.
Right, and this is what you said she talked about in her challenge, was that go back to your 7-year-old self. When I was 7, I wanted to be a vet and a window dresser.
Right. Her name is Terry. I can't pronounce it.
Trespicio?
I also can't figure out which way to go. There we go.
Yeah. Spatially challenged, it's fine. Like, did I know at age 7 that this is what was going to be?
Thanks for talking about what I told you. Day 1 was go back to your 7-year-old self. What did she want to do? I don't know. She didn't want to go to school, and she didn't want to.
I wanted to play with rabbits and pet llamas.
From the kitchen. That's not really going to do much for my career. Now I can make as many cookies as I want. I won. It was so absurd. It was so childish.
Right.
Sorry.
No, and it's also like, it's also kind of like just confusing two different processes. Going back, like I did it with you on one of your, who knows, maybe Unpack or something, where we, got in touch with our inner child, which is very powerful. But it's not for this. I think that's more kind of like a healing process. And remembering how to have fun and be creative,
So when you go back, because I do a lot of the deep work with people and then bring it to their business, it's about helping you understand who you are and what you do. It doesn't help you in what you do. It's okay. So I can do my work in many ways. I can drive myself crazy. I can get very stressed. I can work with the wrong clients. I can charge prices that either scare me or bore me. I'm just giving small examples. But if I remember who I am internally, I remember I'm driven by connection and communication and fun and wonder are my values. If my business doesn't include the parts of me that I naturally am, it's not my business. I'm working for everyone else and I'm my worst boss. That doesn't mean I like to communicate is the driver of my business. I can work in Starbucks. They'd love me. Nah, they wouldn't love my coffee, but they'd love that I know everyone's name. So it's what are your qualities that you then remember before school and friends and partners all told you that you weren't enough for, or that didn't fit, or she talks too much. I do talk too much. I now get paid to talk too much.
Exactly. That's such a good example. It's like, you were told when you were younger, you talk too much, and look, here you are now, getting paid to talk. But
I wasn't going to
have predicted that, Because when you were younger, this wasn't, like, we didn't have Zoom. You couldn't imagine being able to connect with people in the UK and coach them from your computer. So it's like highly irrelevant. Oh.
And it's also, as you beautifully said, highly confusing, because it is confusing two roads that both need to be very clear. Where is your zone of genius? What are you best at? Which means what should you not waste time on? I'm terrible at admin and tech. I didn't know how to work anything till Sarah starts teaching me stuff. This is poor girl had a very long friendship with me. It took her about 8 years to get me to switch from a BlackBerry to an iPhone. That doesn't mean now that I don't know how to do stuff. and I'm also not saying, oh, the other thing they say, just outsource everything you don't like.
Oh my God! Really? With what money? Who's paying for that? Who is paying for that?
Grand debt for signing up for your program, so I now
Yeah.
can't hire. Yeah.
After you called bullshit that I can't afford your program and I got myself into debt and had my husband come in and tell me what the hell have you just signed up for, true story, then had to ring the bank and cancel it. Like, where am I supposed to be finding the money to outsource all of these things? It's just like obnoxious. I think this is Helen. It says, I kind of wrote about this thing myself. Love your work. Love as a verb as opposed to do your work. Love as the object. Do work you love. Sorry, I completely butchered that.
And it's allowed to have the mix of all. I'm not saying in an ideal world there are not times. I'm standing on stage and I look out and all the hard work I've put in and all the talking to myself or just to Sarah on my lives, it has paid off. So there are times that I love the work I do. I love it. It makes me get through the days where I fucking hate the work that I do. It doesn't mean I'm not good on all those days. We're also allowed to be human beings. I've got stuff going on in my personal life with my children. We have to navigate things. My mother was sick last year. It didn't take me away from my passion. It's just reality comes in sometimes.
Yeah, and also you said something before about like find your passion also means it doesn't, like, there's this concept I talked about a few days ago of ikigai, which is, I can't remember what language it is, Japanese.
I have a book, Japanese, I have a book on my,
where the Venn diagrams where the three circles cross over is the sweet spot. And it just puts such pressure on people. Like, all you have to do is draw these three circles, fill this stuff in, find that magic spot, and off you go. I think what a much more helpful way of looking at it that you just said is find that thing that you're good at. Like for me, okay, I'm good at the actual taking of the pictures and the coaching of the people with the Instagram. I ain't good with numbers. And I knew that one of the things that I was going to need to outsource was my accounting because it was getting out of control. But I knew I had to wait. I had to be able to afford on a monthly basis to pay a VA in Thailand. God bless her. Hi, Sandy. And she does it all for me. She does it for me. So that's great. So, like, it's not all just about, like, again, the danger of positivity is you think you're looking for your thing and then that's it, you're done. No, like, look at it from a different way and just say, okay, this is my thing, but what isn't my thing? How can I make my life easier and better by finding the things that aren't?
But finding what isn't your thing is your fastest route to finding what is, because who don't I work for? There's someone on here who I love very much, Helen Johnson. Helen and I've spoken a lot about this. Is just because we can doesn't mean we have to, because then we're in rooms we don't want to be in. I mean, I just paraphrased. Helen and Shari have the same personality and the same use of a lot of words.
I say that's my kid. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Yeah.
Exactly. And you only know what you don't want to do when you're in an environment, in a company, in a this, and be like, and this is not it. Awesome.
Right, and I feel like it takes time and experience as well. I haven't been able to turn down clients that I don't want to work with until I did that work with you and figured out, okay, these are my brand values. Like, this is like what I want to run everything through these like 6 values, or maybe it's 5, I can't quite remember, like creativity, impact, joy, connection, curiosity, empathy. If it doesn't have one of those values, I don't want to do it. So I can get on a Zoom call, on a discovery call with someone, and I feel none of those, and I'm like, this isn't going to work. That's very nice, but you know what? That's also a privilege. I wasn't able to do that at the beginning. I needed to take wherever I could get.
It's also really nice to notice it and still have to take it and say, I'm in my growth period right now, so I'm going to do things that I know now grow. So I don't want to do a program for 12 people, but guess what I learned? Okay, I only got 12 people in a program. I'm going to pour all of my love, care, and attention into those 12 people, as though the 100 people I wanted for the program showed up, because guess what? I will learn things about my own process. I will listen. I will get market research. I will learn to trust myself. I will put down what I think is right and listen to the feedback from my clients. I will learn more connection, more intimacy in my work, to say, how honest am I being about who I think I'm going to be? Because if you can't serve 12, you can't serve 100. The best time to learn this is when there are not a million eyes on you, because you're honing your skill. You don't sharpen a knife once and then go cut everything. You need to continue sharpening it. Change, decide. My ideal client has changed. Who I want to be in my business. Things I do now that I swore I'd never do. I love doing the most. I just had no idea what the hell I was doing. So I made decisions based upon my lovely imagination, which is very active.
Yeah, and I also think I was listening to something. One of my clients sent me a podcast, and I don't like listening to business podcasts. I like listening to, weirdly, true crime, because I want my brain to just switch off, listen to someone else's issues. I don't want true crime where it was solved, by the way. It has to be like a solution, right? I don't want like the unsolved cases. I need like a relatively happy ending. Anyway, sidetrack. So she sent me this link to a podcast where the woman is talking. She does something very similar to me. So she's a branding photographer, but she also, and I love this title, she called herself a brand educator. So she's showing people like how to understand what personal branding is, and that everyone has one, and how do they figure out their values and all that kind of stuff. I'm getting to the point. So she said, because at one point I'd forgotten what I was saying, she had said it's really difficult when you say ideal client and you're just focusing on like one ideal client. It's very confusing for people. She said it's so much more helpful if you could think of it as like your ideal team, your ideal crowd. Who are your people going to be? And your people are quite varied. They have something in common, right? And they're at different stages. And I just think it's so unhelpful to say that my ideal client is in her mid-40s. Do you know how many people I've had calls with who are like 1 year older than my daughter? I've had like phone calls with 25-year-old girls who are just like killing it. And they're amazing. And I'm thinking, I can work with people in their 20s. Why the hell?
Also, the other piece of this, so I teach something called the marketing matrix, and it's a whole process of, I like to summarize as 3 ideal clients with 3 different phases. So we have beginner, intermediate, and advanced, and then 3 entirely different people. Then all of a sudden you're speaking to 9 people in your content, in your messaging, because otherwise, if I had my ideal client mapped out to the T, and I had 20 of those clients, I would blow my brains out in my business because I'd be so bored. I'd be having the same conversations, exact same pictures. They're the same problems with the same solutions. I don't want to do that all day long.
Yeah.
So I need a variety, because also then in my content, I'm showing the variety of Shari can work with beginners and with people who are more advanced. Shari works both in mindset and in business. I'm not saying be the expert of all, but show the range. Otherwise, you're just to stop on Sarah only takes pictures of families and they need to have 5 children and everyone needs to be redhead. Otherwise, she doesn't take pictures.
Yeah.
I'm not for sale.
So, I mean, going back to what we were saying about, and I think it, overlaps with the talk that we've had, I don't know how long ago, about toxic positivity, about this, I think what it boils down to is this fear of the negative. And it's, this fear of being vulnerable and open, like it's going to damage your business. Like, I had a workshop recently and I said, there is like, I don't believe in full scarcity. I'm not going to tell you there's only a limited number of places because it's a freaking virtual workshop. But ideally, I'd like 10 people there. I think in the end we were like 5, 2 people flaked, whatever. So it could have been 7. That's kind of close to 10. Whatever. We had a great time, It was the first time I'd done it. And I felt good about the fact that I wasn't bullshitting anyone and saying, doors are closed, seats are full, Just like, we've seen it so much. Like you said, it worked once.
There's so many times, there's so many topics to spike off of from this. But also, there's also the vanity metrics thing is like, this woman had 13,000, so unless I have 13,000, I feel bad. If you have 5 people who walked into a physical place to hear what you have to say, excited to work with you, to hand you money, how happy would you be?
Right, so there's a reel that I made. I have to find it. There's some audio on reels that says, like, if, like, your post was liked by 30 people. If 30 people walk through your door right now, raving about what you've done, you'd be absolutely overwhelmed. Just think about that.
I would lock the door because I don't like people as much.
Yeah, why are there 30 people in my office? Go away. I don't have room for you all.
Someone lock the door. I'm climbing out the window and leaving. So it is extremely exhausting and extremely confusing. And then we forget to be proud and celebrate the stage that we are, the learnings that we have. Everyone's always learning. We don't arrive somewhere in our business. I now work with very high accomplished seven-figure business owners. I'm not saying it to tell you, oh my God, look who Shari works with. I want to tell you it because they have the same fucking problems that everyone else does, but bigger, because they have a team watching and they get bored and they're scared to pivot, or they sit and cry in their car.
And they have to pay salaries and worry about everyone else's income.
They have to deal when the pandemic hits and they're the last one to get paid. Most of my client calls place in the parking lot / car park, while people have to sneak out because there's no place else to hide. When one of my clients who runs 17 martial arts studios, she's 28, she's unbelievable. I don't even know how much money she brings in. She was hiding in the stairwell of one of her buildings. She had a miscarriage that morning and didn't have time to deal with it because the team needed her.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so like there is so much that we don't see when people and when I see the word blueprint, I want to like put my fist through the screen. It's like making and I think that when you are starting off, like for people that are just starting their business now online, in a way, I feel like partly they have it easier, but in other ways, like I think they might possibly have missed all the bullshit that's gone before. You know, like just being able to pick apart.
But the idealism's more dangerous because like, no, I'll do it differently than them. How about pay attention to the clues and patterns and realize we are all unique snowflakes, and there are certain pathways that everyone takes and gets through and learns, like learn from other people's mistakes, gain from their wins, and still make it your own journey because no one else can skip that for you. I'd love to give you a magic pill. If I had it, I would split it with everyone. I really would. Something else I wanted to say about this. This is a whole nother topic, but I think that it feeds beautifully into that, and I'll try to rein it in to be relevant. There are a lot of people who, as they grow, as we're talking, we're allowed to grow and change our minds, who grow and change their minds publicly online, and it's very messy. There's a difference between working out your stuff and changing what you do and being open and vulnerable, and also airing all of your dirty laundry and figuring out what you want to do, looking for validation when everyone's watching. You go, girl. You're amazing. Don't worry. My launch was shitty and I'm really good at what I do. A lot of people do it unknowingly for attention. And then it not only tarnishes their brand, it makes them really untrustworthy. So it's a matter of work your shit out away from the front forward piece of it, because it doesn't make anyone want to be around it if they're not sure that you know what you're doing.
Right, because that's an energy of like panic and desperation. That's really not what you want to, you don't want to be, you don't attract people when you're giving that off.
I think people confuse this. I'm being vulnerable. I tell them everything. I had this conversation with a client last night. She shifted from, she used to work in the personal training industry. She's moved now to vulnerable storytelling in business. Nothing wrong with changing your mind and growing into something new. It's a big move. So there are two aspects that we talked about. Number one, we need to give our audience time to come with us. We're allowed to change our minds, but you can't just be like, hey, meet you on the corner and think everyone's going to run. It doesn't mean it won't work, but they saw you a certain way. It takes time. It takes graceful moves. It takes
you have to explain to them why it makes sense as well, and why, like, about
the Instagram and the photography. What does it bring to them? What does it matter? And why did you do it? Then all of a sudden, oh, I get it. Now it clicks in their mind. So there's that aspect. And then the reason we had an emergency call on a Saturday night was, I don't usually meddle, but I couldn't help myself on this one. She did a very vulnerable post on Facebook. She posted a beautiful picture of her and her husband, who behind the scenes are having major problems. They have 2 young children and they're having a lot of problems. Her entire post was about roasting her husband, mocking him for screwing up date night, and to show you that things are not always perfect on the front end. I understand what her intention was, especially now that she's moving into the vulnerable storytelling and she's on this mission, as we talked about earlier. I'm going to be the vigilante to make sure that people aren't lying. She threw her husband under the bus. And I said,
Right.
you have a responsibility to do your job from where you are. The people in your life, the wins and losses are not your props to back you up for what you want in your business. Your children are not to be used like that. And a lot of people do that, especially in the blogger influencer world. Like those kids, for all those mommy bloggers, are not going to be happy when they turn into teenagers.
I know, and they're incredibly short-sighted that they can't imagine that their kids are soon going to be teens and in their 20s and looking back at everything they shared and thinking, really? Yeah.
So there's this aspect of, yes, bring your all to your business, and also honor the boundary of not everyone in your life wants to come with you, and not everything's a teaching moment. Not everything is to be shared. I have a lot right now I could share and tie into the business, and it's still cooking. It's my personal life. It's my children, and it's no one's business. Just because my all is in my business doesn't mean my whole world is in my business.
Right. I would say, like, it's not my story to tell. Like, I have 4 kids. They all have their stuff. It's not my story. So it doesn't.
No, and just because even your part of the story shouldn't be shared. So like even the good stuff, you're in a new relationship. You don't run around, I manifested a new relationship. Till next week, love, when you have a fight. What do you say then?
Oh God, this is really a whole other discussion.
Sneak it into it.
So how would we summarize? Where do we draw the line between, there's no. I've got into conversations with people where they kind of, they're afraid of, I don't even know how many emotions there are. There are hundreds. If you actually want to put emotions on a scale, there are hundreds of them. We don't have to just focus on the positive ones. We don't have to pretend. That doesn't mean we need to be a negative Nancy all the time, but it just means like don't be afraid of them. Don't be afraid to a point, obviously.
Sarah can be happy and I can be happy. We experience the happy emotion in 2 very different ways. So making this simplified assumption out, tell me in your sales page how I feel fear. You don't know how I feel fear. I crave a lot of safety. So safety and contentment for me are boredom to other people. That's happiness to me. So this summarizing people's needs and wants and desires and feelings is really disrespectful. You don't know what I need. I half the time don't know what I need. Well, you know what I need, but you.
Right, and I'm not sure when. I'm also not sure when toxic positivity became a thing. I'm not sure when. I guess social media, really, when having to like show up and pretend that we went from rags to riches overnight.
Well, now I also remember why I brought up that new topic. When someone is working through stuff publicly, they want to feel better about what's going on, either changing in their business, change in their life, relationship changes, to feel empowered. Social media has made us feel like we're not alone, which is beautiful in some ways. I think toxic positivity came from that. If I'm really, and Sarah's watched me do this early on, when things were really shit, I make jokes when I'm upset. So I get the most validation. My lawyer used to have to walk out of court in my divorce because I'm really funny when I'm nervous, because it's my coping mechanism. So if I have a really bad day, I'll go on social media, make everyone laugh, and get a lot of attention. I'm good. I feel better. I don't do that anymore because it doesn't work anymore for me. And I realized that was a bad coping mechanism. Shari, don't do that. That's not healthy. So I think toxic positivity came from like the pendulum swinging of, well, the world's really shit and we're positive people, so let's all play over here only in good news. Or if I exaggerate, good vibes only, and I'll feel better and I'll be able to pull over the people who are sitting in their shit. I don't know about you, but when I'm sitting in my shit, I don't want anyone pulling me anywhere, even if you have my solution. I think it's people are so uncomfortable with when things are not good that the pendulum swung too far. So the positivity is actually more irritating than reality and negativity.
I think people are afraid of negativity. They don't want to say, like, if you ask, like, hi, how are you? Good, how are you? Seriously? Like, what? We're not allowed to say anything apart from fine, how are you? What is the point in saying hi, how are you? Like, I have to say to people, I had someone say it to me, it was beautiful. A friend of mine in England, he texted me, "How are you?" And then he wrote in brackets, "Really, how are you?" Like, tell me the real stuff. Loved it. Loved it. I told him my real stuff. He told me his.
I forget that in the US we say, "Hey, how are you? How's everything going?" Knowing we don't want to know the answer. I only noticed it when I spend a lot of time in England and you walk in someplace and say, "Hi, you all right?" I don't know what to answer that. It's a salutation I don't understand because I'm like, I had to learn, like, yeah, good. It's the same thing, but because the word sounded different to me, I realized you don't actually give a shit if I'm all right. Why are you asking me? It's not even a question. It's just a complete sentence.
Yeah, but I bet you were in the north. They don't say that in London. You're right,
No,
love.
but it's like, hey, love, no love. It's just, hi, all right? I don't know if I'm all right. Are you asking me if I am? Do you need me to be? That's when I realized how are you is the same problem. So I just stand there like when someone's singing happy birthday to you and you don't know what to do. That's
yeah, but it's also this like this. I notice like if I open up to people about how I actually am and it's not positive, there's this kind of grimacing, this kind of like uncomfortable, like, ooh, I just need you to be better. Like, stop. Don't like kind of like offload your like bad stuff onto me because it's catching kind of face. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, is this over so we can get back to pretending? Because I don't.
Yeah, can you just pretend that you're fine?
Yeah.
Who is that? I bet that's Helen. Yeah, it's Helen. You just say all right back. Yeah, but I don't think Londoners say that really. Maybe.
I never heard it. Yeah, oh, you say all right back. Yeah, because it just makes it go, hey, all right, all right, all right. It's so awkward to me. I'll be like, thank you. I don't know what to do with myself.
All right, well.
The one thing I feel bad about is we opened up a lot of things that we don't have solutions for. I think the answer to this is just being aware, being self-governing on this, finding what works for you, being really honest with yourself about when you're sneaking over that line and just bringing yourself back, surrounding yourself with people who have these kind of real conversations, having someone who you can check in and be like, can you read my last post? Did I sound like a scumbag? Was that okay? Because in earlier, I think Helen said it, someone said it, Facebook user number, whatever.
Yeah. Thanks.
Good people who do have a lot to say do hold back because we're so afraid of being like that. Most of us would probably not be like that, but then we don't actually put ourselves out there because there's that barrier and marker of like, I don't want to be anything like that, so I won't.
Right, because it feels sleazy. And I was saying, like, I took part in a challenge. I don't want to say the name of it because it'll be really obvious. But it was like how to kind of like market and sell without being a sleaze bag. I found the whole thing sleazy. I really did, because it was like you kind of list the person's objections and then you have the it's like responding to missionaries. We were always taught how to respond to missionaries. They say this, you say that. And I hated it. I hated that because I get on a call with a potential client and they tell me like, first of all, I'm going to like work with a branding coach. And then when I've actually really figured out like kind of what my thing is and you know what makes me special and like when I've really kind of like understood my brand a bit better, then I feel like I'll have a lot more to like bring to the table. Absolutely. I'm not going to say to you, well, if you're not ready to close in the next 24 hours, the price is going to go up to $199. That's just not happening. I'm going to make a note. I'm going to say, I'm going to check in with you in a month or in 2 months and let's see where you are then. And we do. And that's my way of doing it.
But also remember, if someone buys because it's almost like gambling, and then you wake up the next morning hungover about decisions. You can't imagine.
And you want your money back.
Cancellations because of the quick decisions. Great. This is what I converted. How did it work out? Did it work? Were they ready? Were they clients who were impossible to work with because they were right? They weren't ready for you?
Yeah.
No one talks about this part.
Well, we did.
Give a lot of time.
We did for 54 minutes. Oh my God. I just looked at the time. Right. Sheesh. I feel like we really just like, this just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to have to get you to come back for part 2. And I think my internet kind of managed to hold on. So yay. Yeah. I'm proud of my internet. Thank you. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Anyone who tolerated the ranting. I know it's not easy to listen to, but I hope it made you feel a little better that it's not just you in your head. You're not being bitchy. It's just sucks a lot of the time. And we can make it better by each individually doing it better. That's all. It's really the only solution.
We can also make it better by that magic unfollow button.
Magic.
Yeah. All the people that are paying Wordle at the moment, hide for 30 days or unfollow, depending on how I feel about them. I don't see it anymore.
It's the cleaning for Passover scenario. Sarah and I unfollowed a lot of people around Jewish holidays.
Oh, it started. It started.
I didn't even realize it's how much I blocked this stuff.
It's like my table's set, I'm cashing both my ovens, and I'm ready, and my kids are dressed and showered and everything. Like, oh wow, I live such a perfect life.
I look at them like, I hope everyone hates you. And clean off the clean bathroom counter. That's what I'm hoping. I'm not nice in the environment, so I'm a mean person.
Thank you. And now I'm going to figure out how to end the live, and then I will have done everything, and I'm quite happy with this software.
I have a hang-up button.
I mean, you have a hang-up button. You have Wait, I'm going to press finish, and let's see if you stay with me or not. Bye, peoples. Thank you for coming.
Bye, everyone.